Yiner hits one high. He hits one deep. He hits one out. 3-run home run. Yiner Diaz and the Astros jump in front 4-0. He drills one high. Forget about it. Onto the train track. Train number 11, for the first time in his career, has just left Union Station.
Wow. Wow. That's the prodigious pop that I want to see. That was showtime.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome into the bullpen on this fine afternoon in the city of Houston. Be with you here until 2 o'clock. I am Brian McDonald, joined by Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and John Belmer behind the glass. You can find us all on Twitter. I'm at Sack by BMAC. Cam is at Clutch City Cam. Sean A. Mapes. And John Belmer is at Third Coach Johnny. That audio courtesy of Space City Home Network, the two home runs from Yiner and Cam Smith going the distance. Todd Callis on the call, which you could Cam Smith nodding his head as if he had anything to do with that home run on the train tracks. But you can hear Todd Callis of the Killer Bees every Friday at either 4 or 4:30. So
people at the bar last night appreciated me.
Did they? Were you going around introducing? Hi, I'm Cam Smith. I'm
Did
Cam
you have
Smith.
your ID around your neck?
No, there's just a few people that know me there. They're like, Cam, you just hit a home run. I was like, I know.
That's what I do.
What can I do? What can I say?
I hit bombs. I drink milk. I hit bombs, and I'm all out of milk. So.
And I fly to the bar real quick.
Welcome to the show, Cam Smith.
There we go. Cam's got the best drop on the show, I think. I almost had one that says "Daddy like churros." That's not as cool as
not nearly as cool.
No, it's not nearly. as cool.
No, we need the Astros to trade for someone named Sean Mapes and Brian McDonald.
Yeah, we really do. I don't like our odds though.
Yeah. Do you watch the games at home, and then when you see Cam Smith hit a home run, then you rush to the bar to see if you can get some free drinks out of it?
Maybe
you should start.
You should start doing that. Yeah, that's a good move.
Not doing that already.
I think I need to grow a couple inches and get a little tanner.
Okay, I'm leaving that one alone. All right, let's get to the. I don't know. I don't like your chicken. One of those you could pull off. You could pay for it.
I mean, not that much.
Not that much, but you could pay for it. You could be orange.
Yeah, I could have. Oh, I thought you meant like a leg extension surgery.
Okay, all right. So Brandon Walter. Let's talk about that guy. Brandon Walter, obviously the offense probably steals the show as far as what everyone wants to talk about. Let's quickly talk about Brandon Walter before we get into Cam Smith. Last night, 6 innings pitched, 5 hits, no walks, just the one run where he kind of left a cutter right in the middle of the plate that got taken deep. 5 strikeouts. I think the one of my first questions on Walter, honestly, skipping ahead to kind of one of my SMH moments is from the game, even though it was obviously overall very, very positive. I was a little surprised that Walter was pulled after, I believe it was 87 pitches. They were up 6 runs at the time, and you're at 87 pitches, and eventually you end up having to use, I believe it was 4 bullpen arms because Josh Hader got pulled in once Sousa gave up a run. Yeah, 4 bullpen arms. Yeah, 85 pitches for Brandon Walter. He'd only gone 6 innings. It was a 6-run game when he got pulled. Were you guys a little surprised or like little eyebrow raised when Brandon Walter got pulled from that game after the 6 innings?
I mean,
or is he just Brandon Walter? You don't trust him past the 6th inning?
There's a little bit of that. There's also a little bit of this is baseball in 2025. So a guy who isn't
the wussification of sports.
Exactly. Someone who isn't like a known like horse out there, like will just get pulled after 6 innings. Kind of unless they have only pitched like 65 pitches. Like it has to be ridiculous, or you have to be Hunter Brown, basically, Zach Wheeler, those kind of guys. Yeah, to get that kind of leash with your manager. So it didn't like stick out to me in the moment as oh my God, why they just pulled Brandon Walter. But also it was what, a 6-0, 6-1 game.
6-1, I believe 6-1 or 7-1.
So I wasn't like actually thinking like, how many bullpen arms is it gonna take to finish this? You know, like it was just like, okay.
Well, and the bullpen's been
Yeah, it
phenomenal.
was 7-1.
7-1, yeah. So it wasn't like I wasn't in the mindset of like, how are they gonna find these innings to finish? In my mind, it was just a blowout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those moments where when you have an opportunity to not use arms, I just like to err on the side of not using arms, especially since I thought obviously you had to put in Hader, but
Yeah.
Hader and Brian Abreu have had to work a lot recently. It'd been nice to go through a game specifically not having to use Abreu or Hader, and you end up using Hader because Sousa comes in the ninth inning, gives up a run, makes it a save situation.
But one at bat, and he got his 22 save streak.
He did set a
so,
record.
yeah.
He did set a record.
Mickey Mouse, the way he's
Mickey Mouse one out save.
1 out in a 3-run game. Yeah, I do wonder how only pitching 3 pitches, like, does that actually affect his availability going forward? I get he also warmed up,
right?
So he probably threw what,
I don't
30
know.
pitches
I
last
mean,
night.
I think he'd still be available today, but
He'll be available. I meant for the next 2
like
days.
if you're looking at the series,
could he technically throw 3 days in a row?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that's where like
it's the warming up.
I think he's limited to 2 games either way, and so now you've cost yourself one of these games where if there's a save situation each of the next 2 days, it's probably going to be Brian Abreu or someone else in one of those outings. But getting back to Brandon Walter and what he actually did, that performance last night brings his ERA down to 3.34. Great 104 WHIP, amazing, and just over a strikeout per inning. It's really been amazing, just the Astros pitching machine that seems to keep turning out these guys we've never heard of. I mean, they did this before with JP France, with Ronel Blanco. They once upon a time turned around Wade Miley out of nowhere. They seem to just always find a way to take these unheralded guys and turn them into guys that not only get the job done, but pitch at a plus level. But of the 3 rookies so far that we've seen make up 3/5 of the Astros rotation with Brandon Walker, Ryan Gusto, and Colton Gordon, who do you like most, John? Who's impressed you most?
Who's impressed me the most, or
impressed, whatever.
Completely vibes based, because they still are kind of, 3 versions of the same guy. They're kind of just 3
generic white guys that don't throw 99.
I mean,
well, Gusto could get it up there a little bit. But.
Yeah, I mean, 2 of them have 2 first names, so it's just all like it feels all very creative player. Colton Gordon's the one who just again completely just on my couch anecdotally. I just feel more comfortable with Colton Gordon on the hill. I don't know if that's because he was the one who did he start first? Was he the first one up out of these guys? It might have been.
It was either him or Gusto.
Yeah, but I think Colton Gordon, just by first impression, I was like, okay, I'm kind of in on this guy. Whereas Brandon Walter, even though he probably came up 2 weeks later, I'm like, still a little new, still a little green. I trust Colton Gordon. I've gone through the wars with Colton Gordon.
the difference of 10 more innings.
Yeah, right. It's
11.
11 more innings. I think I saw when I was looking up stats this morning that Brandon Walter's at 30 innings. So yeah, I can't imagine Gordon's much beyond 40. So, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I don't know if Colton Gordon has the best stuff among the 3. Brandon Walter has a nasty changeup. I know he doesn't have any, max speed. Jeremy Branham likes to call him Jamie Moyer for the lack of velocity in his fastball, but his changeup's nasty. And I think Ryan Gusto might actually have the best overall stuff of the 3 guys, but he seems to lose command of it quite often, leave pitches middle.
Yeah.
I just feel more comfortable with Colton Gordon on the mound because I feel like he's going to make less mistakes. How do you feel about these 3 guys, Cam?
I'm with y'all. I out of the 3, I mean, all 3 of them have done well. Gusto, I'm not going to say phenomenal job, but all 3 of them have done relatively well for what the position they've been put in. But yeah, I feel more comfortable with Gordon.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the consensus. I mean, so when we start to get guys back, because I think we hope to get Arrighetti back in 2-3 weeks, maybe it's the All-Star break. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen a timeline, though. Even if we had a timeline, it's the Astros, so how much could you trust it?
Yeah,
0%.
But who of these 3? Because unless you go to a 6-man rotation, one guy's losing his job. Who are you putting back in the bullpen or sending down to Sugarland?
Gusto.
Yeah, I think
Pronto.
Gusto in the bullpen.
Yeah, Gusto in the bullpen
I think
feels
that's
right.
the answer.
Because I'd like to see him get a chance to see if to excel in that role. Not only because I think he's the weakest of the three, but also because through injury in part that like that back end of the Astro. Well, I'm sorry, I can't remember which end is referred to as the back end, but the non-closers, the non-leverage guys.
The back end, yeah.
Yeah, see, front end, back
That's the
end. I don't
back
know. I never know which one's supposed to be which. Whatever. But the non-leverage guys, I felt like has been weakened a little bit to where they, especially if the starter is knocked out before the fifth inning or something like that, like those first couple of guys out of the bullpen, like, all right, Caleb Bort's coming out. I don't know.
And the ability of Gusto to give you long relief.
Sure.
That I mean, any of these guys, I would want him as a long reliever as opposed to sending him down to Sugarland. But I think Gusto would be the one that that's the first one.
He's our new Peacock.
We always on the look for our new Brad Peacock.
Yes,
I mean, that's what every franchise, when we get to the draft each year, is like, all right, where are we going to find our new Brad Peacock?
Shades of Brad Peacock. Let's take him. People forget 2017. He was a monster.
He got shouted out by President Trump. That's one of my favorite sound bites I've ever had. Just the way he says Brad Peacock, just a total, total Trump
Brad
voice.
Peacock.
It's just the fact that like he mentions Jose Altuve, Verlander, Dallas Keuchel, like he's mentioning stud, and Brad Peacock. It's like, where the hell did that come from? Like who? What staffer told him? Make sure you mention Brad Peacock.
Someone who knows ball.
Somebody
balling out
ball.
that year.
All right, let's get to Cam Smith before we go to the break. We got enough time here.
Cam?
So Cam,
hello,
Cam, you want to talk about Cam Smith?
You have the floor.
So 2 hits, 2 walks last night, including an absolute bomb that got hit up on the tracks. 3 RBI. His season averages or season slash line up to a pretty respectable level. To where I think if we like, would you take this? That sort of conversation in the spring training, we would all have been very happy. But season average up to 277. His OPS up to 773. I mean, I would take both of those if you told me he would hit that the rest of the season. But really, since his OPS and average kind of hit a low point on May 11th, ever since then, he's really rebounded with the fury. Since May 11th, Cam Smith hitting 322 with an 844 OPS, on pace 162, 83 RBI now. Power still now that home run last night, obviously notwithstanding.
Yeah. How's that?
But power's still a little bit lacking because his 162 pace, even though he's slashing 322, 844, still a 12 home run pace over the season. But I mean, look, I'll overlook, like, his defense has been amazing. The slash line is there. You can't forget that he played like 5 games above the AA level before this season. Like, power is like something to keep an eye on, but I think we have to say far-seated expectations compared to where this guy was coming from and what we all thought of him preseason. I think Cam's got to go first.
Yeah, please.
Well, I mean, he's not going to get those 60 home runs like we thought.
Oh yeah, it was Dubon.
With
He said he was
Dubon.
going to hit 60. Well,
Yeah.
he's got a few more years.
Yeah,
in his career.
I thought it was over the course of his career is what Dupont.
Oh, that's what he meant.
He's got the rest of his career to have the 60 home run
60
game.
combined. So in like 5 years he'll get there.
I mean,
At this rate.
At this rate, 12. You're exactly right.
that's fine. No, I mean, he's played a lot better than I think. I think there was high expectations because it was part of the Tucker trade. So everybody was like, you need to get something out of him. But I don't think it was going to come. I don't think we were expecting it to be this quickly. And like you said, since May 11th, he's been
322, 844.
Yeah, he's. I mean, he's been a monster. And the crazy thing is like without Jordan there, I feel like Jordan would be a good presence for him. They're both outfielders. Like, it just, without Jordan there, I feel like it's even more impressive what he's doing.
Yeah, because it is
talking about from like a leadership or having Jordan hitting. Like,
I mean, I
both.
Yeah, both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just like as a there's not that presence in the lineup that the other team is like, oh God, it's Jordan Alvarez,
and everyone else gets fastballs.
Exactly.
Jordan's getting pitched around.
And there's arguably like more pressure on Cam now because there is no Jordan.
Yeah, and there's the hole in the lineup that it presents. Yeah, I to me the power is a little bit like, listen, if you're gonna hit like this for your rookie year, I don't mind what power you're giving me.
We'll wait on it.
Yeah,
You know he has the power.
Yes, because
Yeah.
he's not like a skinny guy. Like that he possesses
It's
it
not
in him.
Dubon. Yeah, like
Exactly.
Dubon, like, okay, he doesn't have the frame to eventually hit for
Mhm.
power.
Cam, I have no doubt that he has the frame for that kind of power.
Yeah.
And so I think that long term, I'm not worried about that until we're in like year 3, and it's still like a little bit like Pena, where Pena was his in 23 and 24, where you're just like, man,
he looks like a powerful guy.
He's really just gonna hit like 12 home runs this year. Okay.
Yeah.
And Cam Smith's already on pace for that. So
I mean, a mighty 12 home runs. Yeah. All right. A few more Astros tidbits on the other side of the break when we get back here in the bullpen. If you want to join in that conversation, give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line at 713-780-3776. Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Be back in a few moments.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the show until 2. And then next week we will be off for July 4th weekend, but back the week after that. And before we get back into the Astros, I want to try something a little bit new as we continue the show and kind of throw out one of the big questions early, get some feedback, have some interaction with the texters and the callers during the show. And then we'll do more of that at 1:15. But one of today's big questions, and I had kind of thought of this because of Dameon Pierce. Like the inspiration was like, I think Dameon Pierce might get cut now that the Texans have Nick Chubb. Like I don't know. Like unless they're gonna keep him to return kicks and they've got other options, so I don't know that they need to. Like I think Dameon Pierce may be on the chopping block when roster cut down season happens. But
I think you could trade him.
I guess what are you getting?
I mean, fifth?
No, you're not getting a fifth.
A sixth?
Okay, what would you trade for Dameon Pierce? You're a Chargers fan. What would you?
I would not trade for him.
Exactly, Cam.
Well, we don't need him.
No one does. That's the point. Okay. Anyway, what are I love how Cam worked it out. I was like, oh, he's great. You should trade for him.
I didn't say he's great.
Oh, we don't need him.
I just think you could get something for him.
I guess like I don't think you'd get a fifth. I think best you could get like a 6-7 swap.
That's what I was gonna say.
That's
I think you give. I think it's Pearson a 7 for a 6.
Yeah, it's kind of what happened in the Kenyon Green, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson deal. Like you might swap like running backs and like a pick swap, and that's your trade. Like,
anyway, what's the question?
What Cam? If Cam's lost his mind, apparently. No. What are the biggest?
Cam hate Najee Harris.
No.
Apparently so. Apparently so. What are the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history? Because I mean, Dameon Pierce, that rookie year, he missed like 5 games.
Yeah.
Was still only like 50 yards short of 1,000 yards. I mean, he looked great, and then the scheme changed, and he became a bum. Like I'd be interested to see, people that like the first name that popped in my mind. I'll just throw one of mine out now. We'll carry that conversation, throughout the show today. But it was another running back with the Texans. Remember the Steve Slayton year?
Yeah.
He rushed for like 1,200 yards or something like that.
Good old Mountaineer.
Yeah, West Virginia pride. Yeah, Steve Slayton was amazing that one
I think
year.
It was like 1,200 yards. Like,
yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, he barely cracked 1,000.
Yeah.
He was 1,200 plus in a 16-game season when that used to mean a little bit more.
When it meant something.
When it meant more.
Yeah.
Back in my day.
Yeah. Was part-time Ryan still here? That's when it meant something.
Yeah. Learn something about history. Look up Walter Payton. I don't know, I'm just gonna shout out old running back.
Anyway. What? Moose Johnston.
Back in my John Riggins.
Ron Dane?
Ron Dane. Let's pull up some Vontae Leach highlights and show it to Ron.
Hey. Put some respect on Vontae Leach.
Hey, Pro Bowler.
Players came out and said that when he ran into them, grown men would squeal.
I never heard squeals, but I will say, you remember the Arian Foster his first breakout game against the Colts in 2010?
Week 1.
Week 1. So he ran for, I think it was like 260, 250, whatever it was. But there was a point in that game with Leach leading through the line where you could see play after play, Colts defenders just start making business decisions. They were turning away from Vontae Leach. They wanted no part. Like, I don't know if they squealed, but I could see in their decision making, I ain't gonna do this, man. We're gonna lose. If we're gonna win, Peyton's gonna have to do something because I ain't taking this on.
I've enjoyed this trip down memory lane, but I also do regret bringing up Vontae Leach, and we actually turned into 3 old dudes yelling about an old fullback from 12 years ago.
Yeah. Let's talk about new fullbacks like Andrew Beck, right?
That's my guy.
Kick return god. Yeah. Anyway, all right, back to the Astros here. So we talked about Cam Smith and Brandon Walter in the last segment. Let's talk about some of the maybe less appealing things going on. Maybe some of the news that is not as great. But let's start with Christian Walker because, I don't want to have the Jose Abreu comparison, but it's kind of hard. It's hard to completely ignore it.
There's a chart.
It's trending. Let's put it that way. And how far is it? On that timeline, I think is the question. But he's 1 of 4 last night, 2 strikeouts. And I was looking at some of his stats. Obviously his stats are bad this year. He's in the month of June, 227, 663 OPS, both bad. I mean, they're not Jose Abreu bad, but they're bad. The thing that struck me though, as far as the Jose Abreu comparison, in that stretch where his average is 227 and his OPS is 663, both objectively pretty bad. His 162 game pace, 21 homers, 85 RBI, and I feel like much like Jose Abreu, that first year he finished 19 homers, 90 RBI. People will look let's say he gets there, 21 homers, 85 RBI. I think people will trick themselves maybe he wasn't that bad. But people kind of did the same thing for Jose Abreu, and I'll raise my hand, guilty of this. That second half, wherever he had the fake, IL stint, and he came back, the rest of the season was extremely hot. Tore it up in the Minnesota series, continued to hit in the against the Rangers. It was like a 400 hitter in the postseason. And I tricked myself into, okay, it was injury, it wasn't age. Look what he did August through the end of the playoffs. And I thought he was going to come in the next season and at least be pretty good. Maybe, obviously not vintage MVP Jose Abreu, but pretty good.
Yeah.
I think people could, if Christian Walker gets to 21 and 90, fool themselves into like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad. Maybe he was hurt. It was just the oblique. Took him a while to recover from that. Astros medical staff, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if I don't think I'm falling for it this time.
I was gonna say, let's
can still see
urge
the
the people.
age. I can still see the age.
Let's urge the people not to. You made a great defense of how, this objectively disappointing season where people have been dissatisfied the entire time. He's on pace to, when you look at it, actually not have that bad of a year.
Yeah.
And we made that mistake before. Let's not make that same mistake.
Exactly.
This guy, until proven otherwise, is Jose Abreu 2.0. He's on pace. He's on pace
to be Jose Abreu.
He's on pace for year one Jose Abreu, which was a disappointment, only to be followed up even worse. Now, next year might not be as bad as Jose Abreu year 2, but let's not say that this isn't a disappointing season at Christian Walker.
It's crazy how underwhelming they've been at first base for the longest.
Well,
since
Yuli,
longest time.
They tried it. Obviously, they tried to fix it with Trey Mancini for half a season. That didn't work. Obviously, Jose Abreu didn't work. They tried out John Singleton in a resurgence.
Speaking of which, they brought him back.
Yeah, in the minors. Yeah, he's in the minors.
Yeah,
that's
for now.
For now,
oh, God,
that's what they said like 3 times before too.
John Singleton's like kind of like a. Is he a ghoul? Like he just keeps hanging around, and like people keep falling off, and he's like, "Hey, I'm still here." Whenever people die, he just like kind of swoops in and takes their place until they find the next live body to put in there, and then they eventually die off, and John Singleton forces his way back in.
He's the living embodiment of the saying, "You don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have
to be faster than the other guy."
The other guy, and that's what he's doing. He's faster than the other guy.
God, man. I mean, shout out to the grift that John Singleton has pulled, because that's amazing. He's back with the team. But I was looking at Walker's kind of year by year, because I think part of the obvious fear is like, okay, this is just age regression, right? I mean, he's 34. We saw what happened with Jose Abreu, and I think he was 35 when the Astros signed him. Jose
35
Abreu.
or 36.
Yeah, either way, he was old. So I was looking at Christian Walker's year by year, and not a pretty picture. So his WAR has decreased from 5.0 in 2022 to 3.7 in 2023 to 2.6 last year, and this year is currently negative 0.8. Like if you're painting the picture of this is age regression, it's boom. It's like the stock market after bad news.
It's a perfect slope.
You can see the Grim Reaper just sliding down it like he's on a snowboard. Like it's just the perfect slope all the way down to the bottom.
Even to the point where you're like, wait, this chart can go into negatives?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So that to say, I'm not optimistic about Christian Walker. I mean, I don't think you guys are either, so I'm not going to try to get you to talk me off the ledge here.
Again, I gave him the grace of next year might not be as bad as year 2 Jose Abreu. That is as far as I'm going to go. It might not be as bad as maybe the worst Major League Baseball player I've ever seen on a team that is supposed to be good.
Yeah.
Like that isn't going into the season saying we're going to lose 100 games. It's this team won the division, and they were starting a guy who was absolutely not major league quality.
No, not by that point.
And Christian Walker can be above that. I believe in you, Christian Walker, to be above that.
I mean, I think Jose Abreu was
get up to 0 WAR, and then we can talk.
I mean,
just level it out.
Remember when he
like broke the scale.
He was on pace to broke. Yeah, he was on pace. Had they not sent him to the old folks home in Florida in like late May, he was on pace to have the worst negative WAR of all time.
Yeah.
And he was hitting batting average wise worse than Malde at the time. Like that how far he regressed.
Yeah.
At least Christian Walker's hitting 227.
And, not bad at
He's
first.
an upgrade.
Not bad at defense.
Yeah, he's better than Jose Abreu defense. But God, you look at that negative WAR, just that perfect slope. Just man, it feels like it's just sending Christian Walker right down into 6 feet under.
Should we bring back Chris Carter?
No, we already know the answer. It's John Singleton. He's just there waiting.
Yeah, John
Singleton.
He's the old guy that we had, or the guy from 2015 that we have to keep somehow still in my life.
Okay, but would you? All right, let me pose this question: would you rather have Chris Carter batting 190 with 38 home runs?
No, it doesn't matter what the answer is. It doesn't matter what the other option is. No, I don't want Chris Carter. How old is Chris Carter? Look it up.
At least
he's got to be 40s now.
At least Singleton's a lefty, They
Yeah,
need a lefty
sure,
in the lineup.
Sure, I guess.
They need a lefty.
So it sounds like we're bringing up Singleton.
Yeah. Shout out to Singleton.
He's the lefty deadline acquisition.
We'll see you. No, that's Jordan Alvarez. You're waiting
Oh.
for that quote from Dana Brown. You ready for it? It's
Cannot
gonna
wait.
happen.
I was thinking about it. Well, actually, watching last night's game, being like, we really only do have 2 weeks left before the All-Star break, and I think after the All-Star break, you're still wrong, but you could credibly say that like this is like getting a deadline acquisition. It's like slightly more right. It's slightly more right, but it's still just the
even
wrong
though
way
Jordan's played games this year, he was bad.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like
say
people, I mean,
you have not gotten Jordan Alvarez.
You have not
production.
gotten good Jordan Alvarez the entire season. So I guess Dana, in this one instance,
No,
say
it's not like that though.
he can say it's like acquiring Jordan Alvarez.
What I'm saying is, I can see how you could think of that.
All right,
but you're still like, it's not
You're
like
not
trading for
accepting it?
No,
Okay.
it's not. They still need someone else.
Were y'all one of the people that voted him for the All-Star game?
no,
Jordan?
He was like sixth in votes at
I
one
don't vote
point.
for the All-Star game.
No, yeah.
It
I
was-
aged out of that.
It was like Yao Ming years ago, where Yao
Yeah.
Ming played
Yeah, I
like
would just
8
make it
games
every
and
year.
still
Yeah.
made the All-Star game or something.
yeah, no Astros will be in the starters though. I mean, I think they'll probably get 4. I think 4. I think 4 is the number. It's probably Hader, Hunter Brown, Pena, and then either like Fromber or Abreu, I would say.
I think
As like
Fromber,
reserves.
or Isaac Paredes, like
Isaac Paredes maybe.
injury
Yeah.
replacement.
Yeah, injury replacements.
Yeah.
Or I think they could get 4, maybe even 5, depending on how the rest
But
of
they have
what the
3
needs of the roster
They
are.
have 3 nailed on.
Yeah. Hunter Brown, Josh Hader,
And Pena.
and Jeremy Pena absolutely have to be in as reserves. All right. We're going to end the Astros conversation on the other side of the break because the biggest news over in Houston sports over the last week or so has been the Rockets' acquisition of Kevin Durant. Let's get into some of the things people are missing as to why so many people seem to be negative on this trade. We'll get into that on the other side of the break. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. The Bullpen will be back in 3 minutes.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and John Belmer with you until 2 o'clock. Next hour, we're going to have the return of the hype train. Got to try to rest my voice a little bit, make sure I'm ready to go. Oh, God. There it is. Thank you, Johnny. Also 130, of course, Mount Rushmore +1. But right now we're talking Houston Rockets. But just before we get into it, I posed one of our big questions last segment for people to weigh in on, and someone has texted into the HRP listener line 713-780-3776 if you want to call or text and weigh in as well. I asked the question, who were the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports after my kind of thought of Damian Pierce is probably not making the team this year?
Randy Johnson.
Interesting. That's not the way I would normally think of a one-year wonder because he was amazing before and after it. But
he's a
not,
Hall
but
of
not
Famer.
here.
That's what I was thinking in my head. Like, what are we talking about?
I don't
That's an
discount
interesting.
it.
Yeah, that's
It's an interesting spin on it. I like that actually. But from 8745, and this is one I didn't have on my list, so credit to 8745, but he texted in Ben Tate. Remember that year Ben Tate behind Arian Foster had like 900 yards?
Auburn Tiger.
He might have had 1,000.
No.
Okay.
I'm not to quote a line in billions. I am not unsure. Okay. I know this one.
And I guess I just thought he had more than 1 year, but it might have just been that 1 year.
Well, like his rookie year, he got hurt in the preseason game against Arizona. He missed the whole year.
Yeah. And I think we all kind of knew, he was talented, but they had Arian in front of him.
Second round pick.
Yeah, and they had Arian Foster in front of him, so he just didn't. He never actually had the statistical output of like a 1,000-yard season or back to back.
Close to it, yeah.
Yeah, or back to back, but it's like he was in the ballpark. But that's a good one.
He was like 900 something yards, and I think it was 2012 as Arian Foster's backup. A season where Arian Foster, I believe, was healthy the whole year. So this wasn't like, oh, Arian Foster played 10 games.
Yeah,
like they just ran the crap out of the ball.
1600 year for.
No, 1600 year was 2010.
Okay,
I think Foster was like 12 or 1300 yards that year.
Pro Football Reference is saying that Ben Tate also had almost 800 yards in 2013 for the Texans.
So he went 900, 790 or whatever.
So I wouldn't say 1 year, but a couple years.
So what was his yardage total that 900 year? I think it was
942.
942. Yeah.
What about Ed Reed?
No,
but he was terrible.
That's like a worst free agent signings list.
One hit wonder or one
bum wonder.
One something that rhymes with hit.
I'm not saying he was good, but he had that 1 year.
I don't know.
You wonder about it.
I don't know if that fits the 1 year window talking point. Let's get into some of the stuff with the Rockets though and Kevin Durant. So obviously the Rockets make the big trade for Kevin Durant, and I've heard some kind of talking points from. I wouldn't say it's the majority of people. I think most people are excited about Durant coming here, but the vocal minority has been loud on this.
Yeah, what are the haters saying?
Yeah, one of the things I keep hearing is just the risk. And this is something that we discussed last week, but now the trade has actually happened. So I'd like Sean to weigh in on it. So one of the things I kept hearing, we talked about it last week, was, oh, you're taking on a guy who's had, so many injuries, especially the lower leg injuries. He's 36, going to be 37 when the season starts. It's too much risk to take on a player of that age with that injury history. But I think saying that, well, true. I mean, granted, guys 36, 37 with leg injury history, there is concern with that. But that's dismissing the concern on the potential for risk on the Rockets side by just running it back with the guys that you kept and said. Like, there's risk with Jalen Green not developing, with a man never becoming a three-point shooter, with Şengün not being a guy that can consistently score around the basket and make the little floaters in the playoffs or develop a three-point shot himself. So I think it dismisses the other side of the coin.
Yes, that's the perfect way to think about it, because yes, I guess there is risk that Jalen Green becomes Kobe Bryant and is some awesome player that he hasn't shown in 4 years of pretty wide open development space. But I think it does overlook the fact that I think we would all agree that the more likely outcome is that Jalen Green never has more value in an NBA trade than he has right now at this moment. Like, if he puts up another year he doesn't actually improve any of his shooting numbers, then he probably loses value as a young prospect NBA like future star. I think that is a real possibility, and that's why you kind of had to cash in your chips of, hey, there's a real chance that Jalen Green is never more valuable than he is at this moment. There's almost certainty that the number 10 pick is never more valuable than it is at this moment. And Dillon Brooks is coming off a really good year where maybe he retains some value just because of the his defensive floor and that he's a solid role player in the league at worst. But there's a chance that everything that the Rockets traded for Kevin Durant would be less valuable in the future than it is right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the other ones I want to discuss was I've heard people talk about window, like, oh, this is cashing in all your chips. This is sacrificing the future to try to compete for the next two. And like that to me is just completely, missing the big picture here. Okay, sure. You traded a 23-year-old or Jalen Green, 22-year-old, very young, regardless of if he's 22 or 23. Okay, yes, you did trade that in a 10th pick, who, by the way, would not have played for you this year, would have been at best like a role player next year. So you did trade two young players for a guy who's going to be 37 when the season started. But the idea that closes the window or shortens the window is just completely asinine to me, because you still have Alpi, who's super young. You still have Amen, who's super young. You have Tari Eason, who's super young. I don't think Reed Shepard's going to be great, but he's still super young. And you kept the Phoenix the future Phoenix first round picks that would be able to not replace Durant, but you'd be able to add more young players to keep that window open for a long period of time. So to me, let's look at the next 2 years and take our best possible shot on the next 2 years, but it doesn't kill beyond that, because you still have your young core plus future assets that can add more young players to the roster.
Yeah, and we're just assuming that this window is 2 years because that's what the contracts are now. But Kevin Durant came out and said, I would be willing to take a pay cut to stay here longer. And Fred VanVleet just did the exact same thing. So like they're buying into what the Rockets are, and like to the whole point of like losing like your future, you kept your entire future besides Jalen Green. Like,
who had one good game in the playoffs.
Yeah,
out of 7.
I'm sorry, but right now Jalen Green reminds me of Jamal Crawford. So like, I would rather have Kevin Durant for possibly 3 years than see where we go with Jamal Crawford 2.0 for the next 5. Like,
yeah, I think this goes into the next bullet point of price, where, and I think they're very connected, where they didn't change their window because they still have a ton of great assets. Like, they didn't spend it all on Kevin Durant. They actually spent very little on Kevin Durant, where it's one pick that's this year that, just was made on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And then 5 second-round picks. Dylan Brooks, who, again, is a good player, but is a very replaceable player given your roster that you have. And Jalen Green, who is someone that I'll just speak for myself, and I think, Cam, you're in the same place that I am, is someone who Jalen Green has with his performance last year and in the playoffs especially. I think he's like forfeited coming into next season, it's the 2 stars of Jalen Green and Alperen Şengün. Like, no, he's at best like 3rd on the marquee. Yeah. And even that is like, you need to start thinking of him as, is this guy a starter on our team? Not, is this guy a star for our team? So the price to me for 2 guys that are like, yeah, they could be starters for you, for Kevin Durant, it's like to fill the exact need that last year's team had. To me, like, again, it's a no-brainer.
And that's the thing. Like, Kevin Durant is literally fixing the biggest needs that you had last year.
All the Jalen Green possessions where he starts with the ball and like ISOs or runs a pick and roll, gets double teamed and doesn't know what to do with it. Take Jalen Green out of that situation and put in Kevin Durant. That is what the Rockets did. That is what and instead the guy standing on the other side of the court in the corner, instead of Dylan Brooks, will now be Tari Eason or Jabari Smith. That's what happened.
Hopefully Jabari. I'd rather have Jabari take the shot. But yeah, so extending that next bullet point on price, like when you break it down, I kind of look at it in a way, not to go all fantasy sports on you, but I know. Oh. You made the exact same sound that Jeremy does whenever I bring like a fantasy perspective into it. But I kind of look at fantasy trades sometimes as not the whole. Like, I just try to look at each individual piece. Like, do I mind giving that up? No. Do I mind giving that up? No. It doesn't matter if it's 6 things. If all of them are pieces that like I don't mind giving up. Like,
if you're giving up 10 feet worth of rope,
I'm interested to see where this goes.
If you're giving up 10 feet worth of rope, you don't want to give up a 9-foot rope and then a 1-foot rope. You'd rather just give up 10 1-foot ropes. where it's a bunch of bad assets. It's a bunch of short sticks that you're bundling together to where, like, here, you asked for 10 feet of rope. I just gave you 10 small pieces of rope.
Johnny, I didn't know we were getting rope analogies today.
I was trying to think of like what gets measured. Like what is like a measuring, thing?
A measuring stick?
Yeah, but then
yeah, I know it does.
Shorter sticks.
Shorter sticks.
I guess that also works.
Yeah.
Where it's like I want one big stick, and it's like, well, here's four small ones.
There's Sean's
drop. Yeah,
there's Sean's drop for the future. But yeah, I just look at like second round picks. Like, we don't care. No one cares about.
One of them was
round
literally
picks.
the last pick of this year's draft.
So I don't care if there's 5 of them. They mean nothing to me. Kevin Durant is a direct replacement for Jalen Green. You're improving by a touchdown and scoring. You're improving to a much better shooter, a much more consistent scorer in the clutch moments. So really, we're talking about: are you willing to upgrade Jalen Green by a great deal at the cost of Fred VanVleet in a 10th round pick, or the 10th overall pick, Dylan Brooks, sorry, and in the 10th overall pick, who wouldn't really play for you this year? Like, I don't see what the hand wringing's about.
Yeah, and that, like, you are already having a hard time finding minutes for your young stars last year.
That's the other part of it. You needed a roster consolidation.
Yeah, so that 10th pick might never see the floor at all because you're still having to find time for Cam.
You can't find time for
Reed.
Cam Whitmore and Reed. How are you going to find time for the 10th overall pick?
Yeah, the bottom line is, I think a lot of the consternation over this trade, the negative outlook on this trade, is for the most part an overrating of Jalen Green,
100%.
and then the second part is an underrating of what Kevin Durant is, the player today, versus Jalen Green, the player today.
Yeah, people talk about Kevin Durant as if he's, or the people on that side of the argument,
like he's washed up, and
he's still averaging like 26 and a half points per game.
He just last year, the washed up version of Kevin Durant. He averaged, I think, 5 more points per game.
He has like 26 to 21, something like that.
He had the same amount of shots, and he shot 10% higher from the field and 10% higher from the 3-point line.
And he gets more rebounds.
And he gets more rebounds.
Yeah.
Like, he does everything better than Jalen Green.
I mean, he might not be as quick with his feet on defense. That might be the one thing you could give to Jalen. But I'm okay.
He's also going to guard bigger guys.
Yeah. All right. Let's go. One more thought.
Well, and it's like the whole like the injury bug that people are talking about. He had injuries a little bit last year and the year before that, but he still averaged like 68 games. Like, it's been 3 years since he had like an actual injury.
It's not Zion and Joel Embiid injury plagued seasons.
Playing 20 games a year.
Yeah, where it's like, no, he's still, I mean, 2 years ago he played 72.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'll take 70 games of Kevin Durant versus
over
82 of Jalen Green.
Every day.
All right, let's wrap it there. On the other side of the break, we'll get into some NFL headlines. And if you have your thoughts on who are the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history, hit us up on the HRMP text listener line. Either call or text 713-780-3776. Bullpen ESPN Radio. Be right back.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back into the show. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, John Belmer with you. And you can join us on the HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. We'll get into some NFL headlines in a moment, but some more text coming in on who are the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history. We've mentioned, Damian Pierce was the genesis of this conversation. Steve Slayton's been mentioned.
Steve Slayton, I think so far.
Ben Tate was an answer.
Yeah.
Steve Slayton was you were saying the best one so far?
Yeah. I think so.
Or the biggest one?
Because they're all Texan running backs.
Cam took an interesting turn on it with Randy Johnson. I think that's an interesting little swerve there. But a text in from 8446. First off, he says, great show as usual. So pat ourselves on the back. Thank you, 8446. But he says, how about Morgan Insberg? Oh, very good one.
Yeah, but Morgan had multiple good years.
Nah. Well, okay, at least home run wise. Pull up the stat page. Like he had like a year. He had a year like
a starter. Yeah, like
he had like a year he hit 34 home runs, which is I believe the year they went to the World Series or the year after. It was either like 05, 06. And like his power numbers after that, I would guess it's at least 10 less every other year. So you got the stat page up here on Baseball Reference. What did you find?
Yeah, he had multiple good
No,
years.
okay. Look,
but he had one insane year.
Yeah, when he made the
I'm sliding my okay. So yeah, hold it. Okay, so he actually did have a 25 home run year. So that, but on either side of his 36 year home run, he went 10, 36, 23, 12 obscurity.
And then
like I think that qualifies as. Now he did have a 25 year, so maybe that's kind of like a 1.5.
Yeah,
or maybe 2-year wonder.
Yeah,
but I think Morgan Insberg's still a pretty good answer.
That's still a good name to talk
about.
about.
What about Carlos Beltran?
Beltran in the Randy Johnson.
Yeah,
but Beltran's a great one because it was also the playoffs. Like
8 home runs and
he was balling out
playoff games.
Yeah, so it was an even harsher impact of like, these home runs really mean something.
8 home runs in 12 playoff games. He was unfreaking real. That's a good one. The people bringing up Morgan Insberg also made me think of Jason Lane. There was that year he had like 25, 27 home runs.
Yeah.
And then eventually became a pitcher in the minor leagues shortly after.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he went pitch for the Skeeters. There was the Skeeters still at the time.
Did Mike Hampton end up doing the opposite or something?
Mike Hampton went to the Mets. I think he was. I can't remember how he did there. And then he went to Colorado.
Page up right now.
Oh yeah, tell us.
Yeah,
Mike Hampton
kind of fits.
Mike Hampton, I believe, in '99 won 22 games.
Yeah,
and then he shortly after that he signed with the Mets. I think he did okay there. Went to the Rockies, got shelled, and then I think went to Atlanta.
Yeah, went to Atlanta, then came back to Houston and was terrible, and then finished with Arizona.
You got to get close to the mic.
And I thought at the end he tried to convert into a batter.
Well, he was the one of the pitchers that could hit.
That's maybe
we had a few of those. Brandon Backey was a good hitting pitcher.
Greeky could hit.
Although, you know what? I was thinking of Rick Ankiel, I think.
Oh yeah, Rick Ankiel fully converted because he just melted down as a pitcher. Yeah, he had the Chuck Knobblocks there. Another text quickly on the Rockets conversation before we jump into this NFL news. From 0721, losing Brooks hurts more than Green. I could kind of see that point.
I can see where you're going because I mean
you have the replacement already.
I also said it a lot last year because it made people go what, and then you're actually right. Dylan Brooks was the best shooter on the Rockets last year.
He was.
Dylan,
at least from 3. I don't know
about
overall.
Your best shooter, and then also Jalen Green.
Yeah. I think Dylan.
And people are mad that we got Kevin.
Yeah, people are mad that you got Kevin
Dylan Brooks was your best shooter, and people are mad that we got Kevin Durant.
Which, but quick. Okay, one more.
Arguably
quick
one of the best
thing.
shooters of all time.
One more quick Rockets thing. I'm sure you guys have all seen this, and I can't believe it was suggested. Like the Rockets, obvious as we just discussed, biggest need by far was 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you addressed it with Kevin Durant, but you lost one good shooter, and you added a better shooter with Kevin Durant, but you still kind of only have one good 3-point shooter because Reed doesn't play. So I would say it's still a need for the team if there's making a move with MLE or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Stephen A. gets on Twitter and suggests they should go sign Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
like this team needs 3-point shooting,
The
and you're going to
last-
suggest
yeah.
Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
All right, we got a caller. Looks like Lamont wants to weigh in on the 1 year wonder conversation. You can obviously join in as well. 713-780-3776 is the HRMP listener line. The question: who are the biggest 1 year wonders in Houston sports history? Let's go out to the HRMP listener line. Lamont, what you got for us?
Hey, man, I got 3 of them, and they're all from the Rockets. The one, I think it was the early 90s, probably like 92, 93. Larry Smith, when Akeem, I don't know if Akeem was getting into some issues with the Rockets or if he was hurt, but they had a center, an undersized center that came in and did his job for the Rockets. And then that guy, like in the 2000s, doing Steve Francis there. I can't think of his name, but he was a very undersized center, and also Kevin Willis.
Kevin Willis. Are you thinking of Chuck Hayes?
That's what I was thinking. The Chuck Wagon.
Chuck Hayes.
Yeah, I love Chuck Wagon. Thank you for the call, Lamont. Like,
one of the Yao years when Yao was out the entire year.
The biggest 6'5" center ever.
Yeah. Chuck Hayes was, I mean, especially when he would score. I don't know if you guys remember this, but they had the graphic of the Chuck Wagon going across the Toyota Center screen. Like he was definitely kind of a cult favorite, a fan favorite. I love Chuck Wagon. As far as the question though, like, does he fall into 1 year wonder? Because he never had like a big pop. It was more like 4 or 5 years of pretty good or more than you expected.
Yeah. It was a little bit out of nowhere. He's more of the
It was out of nowhere.
Yes, but there was 1 year where he was forced to play center specifically.
Yeah,
that was out of his position, and he played really well. So, like, for that 1 year, maybe out of position, you could put it there.
I love Chuck Hayes either way. Like, he's definitely one of the more underrated players.
We definitely needed a Rocket one because we had mentioned a bunch of.
We'll get into some more as the show goes on, but no, let's cut it short. We get the NFL stuff we could save for later, or if we run out of stuff in another segment. Let's get into something that's going to kill my voice. So I'm going to stay very calm during the outro of the segment. Coming up on ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5 when the bullpen returns, Sean, Cam, myself, John Belmer, we'll get into the hype train. That's next. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome into the Hype Train. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5 is the Bullpen with Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and John Belmer behind the glass, getting you hyped for the NFL season. Though the trick is, we don't get hyped, Sean.
We stay hyped.
Damn right. All right, let's hype up some of these reports about guys and OTAs.
It's so much louder than I remember.
I don't think I could keep it up for the full segment. Well, hype season's here in the NFL. We got guys, in the best shape of their life. They've dropped 10 pounds. They've added 10 pounds, but they're in the best shape of their life, and they're going to do things people have never seen them do before. One of those guys, Marvin Harrison Jr. Headline, Cardinals anticipating year 2 leap for Marvin Harrison Jr. Cardinals coaching staff expects Harrison to take a substantial step forward in 2025 after his uneven rookie season, according to Doug Haler of The Athletic. Apparently, Harrison has reportedly bulked up. Again, best shape of his life.
Yeah, looks great.
And noticeably this offseason, a development that will hopefully help the number 4 overall pick of the 2024 draft improve in contested catch situations in year 2. So, fellas, Harrison, I think he had 8 touchdowns. So, fantasy perspective, he did okay.
He had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns.
For 99% of rookies, that is amazing.
Yeah.
But Marvin Harrison Jr., in part because of the last name on his jersey, no other rookie has ever had more expected from him than Marvin Harrison Jr. People were taking him in the first round of fantasy drafts, a rookie wide receiver, unheard of. And by that measure, he disappointed. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys? Did we all just completely overreact to his, I guess, disappointing rookie year, quote unquote?
That's why I'm in on him, because I'm not as disappointed. Just because the expectations are so out of whack that. Yeah, he had 800 yards and 8 touchdowns, and people treated it as he had a bad year. It's no, he had a disappointing year because everyone was expecting him, like you said, to immediately be a top 5 receiver in the league. But I think he had a good year. I view last year as a good year, and I think he's going to be able to build on it.
Sean, Cam, are you buying the Marvin Harrison Jr. hype?
Yes, punch my ticket. I'd like to board this train.
Man, Cam.
God, Polar Express.
Man,
classic.
Cam is worked up. I'd like to board that train.
Hell yeah.
All right. Do you want to board the train of DK Metcalf? Aaron Rodgers lauds DK Metcalf as, quote, big reason behind move to Pittsburgh. Also noted, it was the only team that would take him. In a recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers noted newly acquired wide receiver DK Metcalf as a big reason he chose to land with the team. Quote, DK is a lead by example guy, said the veteran. He's a big reason I'm in Pittsburgh as well. Conversations that we had and just the kind of person that he is. Metcalf has been a guy that I think everyone expects him, probably because he's the dude that showed up to the pre-draft process with Pete Carroll shirtless because he's built like a Greek god. People expect him to dominate, and he's just kind of been okay. He's had, I believe, I'll pull up the stat page year by year, but there was one year where he was otherworldly, but every other year it's 990 yards, 7 touchdowns. He's never, to me, on a sustained basis, taken over the way people thought he would. Do you think he has that sort of level still in him? Does Aaron Rodgers unlock it, or are you buying the hype on DK Metcalf?
I'm not sure he has that kind of level in him because of the situation he's in Pittsburgh. That's where I think, because his biggest year, I believe, was a Russ Wilson. I think that was the 2020.
So 2020, the COVID year, he went
1,300 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that was a good environment for him to get those numbers in. That was a good the COVID year, so offense was in general a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. But I think that the also just having Russell Wilson at that point of his career in that offense, it's a Pete Carroll offense, so it's going to be kind of run heavy first. So he was in a situation where in this one in Pittsburgh, he is the guy, and he has a starting quarterback who I think is still like an average quarterback, but he's
So,
not
I
Aaron
can't
Rodgers.
tell. Are you buying hype?
I'm
or-
not in.
Oh.
Get off this train now, you motherless scum.
So I looked it up.
Because I'm not sure he can be the guy.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Cam mentioned, 2020 COVID year, 1,303 yards. Every other year besides that, 900, 967, 1,048, 1114, not bad, 992. Like he's just kind of been. He's good.
Yeah, he's
a wide receiver too.
He's a little bit better than rookie Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, exactly. Cam, you buying the hype or not?
I'm going to continue to ride the train. Yes,
Guys,
one,
the hype.
he had Geno Smith, who did well, but he had Geno Smith the last 2 years. And two, he was also competing with targets with Jackson Smith and Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett was washed
now
last year,
he
though.
goes to Pittsburgh, where he is going to be Aaron Rodgers' focal point.
Yeah, I guess
I just question how much that's worth.
Exactly. That's where I think our disconnect is that like I think that his quarterback might actually limit him more than Geno Smith did.
Interesting.
And
Yeah,
definitely much more than prime Russell Wilson.
I mean, if you're asking me if I would take him as my second receiver in fantasy, hell to the yes.
Yeah, I mean, he would be my first choice. Like
he also
to me,
missed
he's
2 games last year and still almost had 1,000 yards with Geno Smith.
Yeah. He doesn't feel like a ceiling guy. I think that's kind of the heart of this conversation. Like he's going to be good.
Yeah, that might be.
He
it.
just
It's
doesn't
like,
have the ceiling.
I don't
to
see
me.
him being a number one.
I can get
And
up.
I'm
on board the
aim
train,
higher.
but I also feel you.
I'd want to aim higher for Mark. I mean, obviously, if you go running back heavy early, maybe you don't have the opportunity to do so. But depending on how you draft, like I'd want to aim higher for my wide receiver too, if possible. That's kind of how I feel about it.
That's fair.
All right, moving on to the hype train. Let's go over to a rookie with the New Orleans Saints. Tyler Shuck, quote, ready to deal with ups and downs of being a rookie starter. There's a quote here that I can't read entirely, but somehow they played on one of our shows this week, Sean, without the bleeps.
No, it played with the bleeps. It played with the bleeps. I'd pull it up in my folder right now.
Okay,
you don't actually need to pull it up. But it has bleeps.
You sure about that?
I'm 100%.
Oh yeah,
All right.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few bleeps. Anyway, he was talking the big game. I think the question, like the Saints with Kamara and with Chris Olave when healthy, which is a big if with Chris Olave and his concussion history, they've got some weapons that are interesting to fantasy, but I know there's going to be excitement with Kellen Moore coming in. They've kind of been in an offensive dark period ever since Sean Payton left and since Drew Brees retired. So there's some excitement there. They've got a few weapons, but can a rookie quarterback who spent, 7 years in college really be expected to come in and provide enough offense for these offensive weapons to be valuable or like worth drafting at their current, average draft position in fantasy? Are you buying that sort of hype for Tyler Shuck? Can he sustain what you would hope from Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara?
Absolutely not. I am running so far away from this train. And I'm also curious as to where he said, I've been an MVP. Where?
Was it of a bowl game, maybe?
A bowl game?
It's probably a bowl
Insight
game.
Bowl MVP?
Oh, the Idaho Potato Bowl?
Yeah. High school, probably.
Yeah.
When he was in high school, when I was in high school.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's 7 years of college, right, Sean?
He was he was literally Justin Herbert's backup in college. Justin Herbert, who's on year 2 of deal 2.
He's already on his contract. Yeah, he's on his second contract already. He was, good Lord. Dude is old. He's not quite Chris Winky old, but he's old.
No. He's not Whedon old either.
No.
Well, Brandon.
Yeah,
Brandon. He was like 28, I think.
Yeah.
So what about you, Sean? You buying the hype if he could sustain these guys?
I'm not on the hype of him in any fantasy capacity or any of the Saints in any fantasy
Don't believe the hype, people.
All right.
Olave, just the head injury thing. It's like he could get hit going over the middle once and like his career might be over.
Yeah.
He's in that level of concussion issues. And Alvin Kamara, that's more of an age thing of like Alvin Kamara at 29?
No.
But he still finished top 10 in running backs last year.
It's just
because he PPRs his way.
Oh, hell yeah. That's all that matters.
He's far like.
Okay, I forgot we're not playing real fantasy football.
If you play
in
an archaic standard league with not even a half point, then Alvin Kamara is
earn your
useful.
points.
Yeah. There was a game
the old way.
I can't remember if it was last year or the year before. and you might probably remember this, but there was a game within the last 2 years where Alvin Kamara, because of Derek Carr and his checkdowns, had 13 catches for 30 yards.
Yes.
He was a god for fantasy that day, but he basically just caught the ball and fell down.
Yeah, and then had like
13
He had
times.
like 55 rushing yards or something. Like,
but he was a god that day because fantasy scoring is sometimes broken in a few ways. All right, let's get in. Well, maybe at least one more, maybe two. Actually, let's do one more because it's a Charger. We're going to end with a Charger for Cam Smith. Cam Smith, big day on the field with the Astros last night. Let's give this Cam Smith his moment here. Talk about Trey Harris, rookie wide receiver out of Ole Miss for the Chargers. Quote, building early momentum, Harris stood out in contested catch situations during OTAs and mandatory minicamp, according to Daniel Popper of The Athletic. I guess the question is, obviously, Ladd McConkey's your one. Quentin Johnson's been a disappointing rookie year, but he's shown red zone. Don't take off your headset. Don't throw a temper tantrum here. I barely made it through the intro for that guy. I don't know if you can hear my voice dying, but I intentionally didn't keep reading the description of what happened at OTAs because my voice was dying from doing hype train voice. Anyway, Ladd McConkey's the one. Quentin Johnson's kind of the red zone guy. Is there enough fantasy value, or is there enough room for production room for Trey Harris to contribute as a fantasy guy in year one? Cam?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm buying the hype.
I'm buying the hype.
Because second round pick, right?
Second round pick. They're outside of McConkey. Because how dare you bring up Quentin Johnson like he provides value?
8 touchdowns last year.
But no, he did not.
All right, I'm going to look it up. He actually had a decent second half of the year. I'll find it. No, you keep going on your Trey Harris prop again. I'll find it.
No, I think Trey Harris is going to have. I think he's going to have kind of similar to Marvin Harris Jr.'s first year. I'm not saying he's going to get 8 touchdowns, but I think he could get over 800 yards.
Okay,
800 yards, 5 touchdowns. Something.
I'll take 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. I'm on the Trey Harris hype train. Because of what you gave me was the Chargers have one good receiver and Quentin Johnson.
8 touchdowns last year for Quentin Johnson.
Wow.
I was exactly dead on the money.
Still hate
55 for 7, 11, and 8. That's not
7,
bad.
11, and 8.
I am the
It's not
smartest
bad.
man alive.
7-11 is bad when you're 3 years into the league and you were a first round pick.
He was second year in the league, sir?
No.
55.
Yes. Look, it's right there. Second year in the league.
Third, but I was saying going into your third year.
Well, but 7-11 was in his third year, though.
Yeah, but 7-11 doesn't cut it for me when you're a first round
Always
pick.
open.
No, I'm not saying he's lived up to expectations. That's not the argument what I'm trying to make. I'm saying he's not bad as a 2. He's developed into a.
I think the drops are just so demoralizing that he is a bad 2.
But I think I did couch it though as he's a red zone guy. He had 8 touchdowns.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be happy to have him as a 3 or a 4.
Anyway,
Trey Harris is the 2.
Yeah,
I think it's an offense that can sustain 2 wide receivers with Herbert.
All right. That'll do it for the hype train. On the other side of the break, we'll get into more of our big question here on one of the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history, and a couple more questions we'll add on along the way. You want to join in that conversation, send us your biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history. You can send that to the HRMP listener line, 713-780-3776. That'll do it for this segment. That'll do it for the hype train. ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Be right back.
This is The Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back into The Bullpen with a calm, normal voice from Brian McDonald alongside Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and John Belmer. As we continue on the big question, and if you want to weigh in on that, you're certainly welcome to join us on the HRP list line, 713-780-3776. So the question we've been asking throughout the show is, who are the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history? I almost said in honor of, but it's not an honor. It's because I'm talking about a guy that's probably going to get cut, but inspired by my thought that Dameon Pierce is likely going to be cut after even, 2 years removed from that 900-yard rookie season. Steve Slayton was a name I brought up earlier. We've had Morgan Insberg and Ben Tate being brought up on the text line. Cam's brought up Randy Johnson. A few others that I had that'll get you guys' reaction to. Richard Hidalgo, the first year at Enron, when it was still Enron, he had 44 home runs. Cam, if you can, pull up his baseball reference page. But he was still a good player after that. Like, he had a season. Cam started typing like he was typing on a typewriter. It felt like it's like.
Well, no, he did like a quick little calisthenics of his
like a warm up.
Yeah,
gotta stretch my fingers out.
Like a court reporter. Like
long day of
yeah. But he had like a 44 home run season in 2000, and he still had some good seasons. I think he had a season where he hit over 300,
42 doubles, 44 home runs, and 122 RBIs.
Freaking believable!
Like what?
Yeah, but look, okay.
And he batted 315.
Correct me if I'm wrong. After that, I don't think he hit 20 home runs again.
He did.
He did. Give me his home run years after that.
So 44, then 19, then 15. Then it went back up to 28, and then 25, and then he had 21 2 years later with the Mets, and then he had 16 to end his career with the Rangers.
So it was 44, and then what were the next 2 years after that?
19 and
15.
19 and 15. It's crazy that he had an OPS of 1,028.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He is someone who I only know his name in the context of
one-year wonder.
What the hell was in the water in
and he
2000?
He finished 20th in the MVP voting.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
He got MVP votes.
He literally had an Aaron Judge
MVP
year.
votes, and otherwise was a very average. Well, no, average is not fair.
Hey, and he had 13 stolen bases.
My God, yeah.
When a guy in the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s has a year like that, my general rule is, if they're an Astro, I don't throw out suspicions of steroid use. If they are an Astro, I just leave it alone.
No,
if he's Brady Anderson, he roided.
Yeah,
if he's not Brady Anderson,
if it's man,
hey, he just cleaned up.
Jeff
the best shape of his life.
Jeff Bagwell had a great year in 1994. All right.
Best shape of his life.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
All
he worked hard.
They didn't use steroids. They weren't allowed.
Yeah. No, the other teams, they used steroids.
Yeah, exactly.
Astros
didn't use steroids.
Never.
Church boys. A couple more I had already mentioned. Jason Lane, he was on my list. Rafael Montero.
Oh,
I forgot about him.
He was dog bleep in Seattle, and then he was unbelievable in 2022, and then dog bleep every year.
I was even thinking about the Dynasty Astros. And I was like, oh wait, that's probably because they are actually a good team, that they don't have these random jobbers that come in and have one good year.
Kaz Matsui.
Did Kaz Matsui ever have a good year here?
I think
I know they signed him to like a 3-year deal, but then he got anal fissures.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So
he's like the only time he ever comes up is one thing.
It's usually like worst free agent.
One hit wonder instead in as far as word association goes.
Another Astro I had on my list, and I think because he's an Astro, we won't say it, but we all know why. Marwin Gonzalez.
Oh yeah.
He had the 1 year where he hit like three. He hit over 300. Played every position on the field except for catcher and pitcher. It was unbelievable that year. Obviously, had the big home run off of Kenley Jansen in Game 2 of the World Series.
We all know it's because he took extra batting practice before every game.
He just outworked everybody else.
Just seeing the ball well.
It looked like a beach ball out there. Sean.
He knew it was coming. He read the pitchers well.
Right out of the hand. He knew what
He's-
pitch was
He
coming.
certainly did know what was coming. The other one I had, and this is more of what happened before he became a Rocket than when he was with the Rockets. You already know what I'm about to say. It seems like Sean, but Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, that I thought
And that was really wasn't even a year. That was like a 1 month wonder.
I thought about him. I was like, it wasn't as a Houston sports athlete, so that's why I kind of eschewed him for.
Sure.
I think I mentioned in the break Von Wafer.
Oh no, I don't think you did, but yeah, that's a good one. That's
Omar
a good one.
Oshik.
I don't think he had a
Did he
hit
have
year.
the wonder? Did he have the wonder?
There's just
He was just a wonder.
There's a wonder why he's the starting center for this team. Yeah.
Sean, do you have any that we haven't mentioned so far?
Yeah, I mean, Von Wafer was the one I was kind of sitting on. I was trying to think of like a sack year for a Texan that was crazy high. Because that's another position where you get like a random variant.
Oh,
Connor Barwin
Brooks
had like
Reed.
Yeah, Brooks Reed's
Brooks
a good
Reed.
He had like one crazy year.
I think Connor Barwin might have had like one sack year.
The Ninja Assassin.
He never top 10 though,
and it was sustained.
And yeah, it was like
Antonio
consistently
Smith was
like
pretty-
6 to
yeah.
7.
Sorry,
basically.
Antonio Smith.
Yeah.
No, shout out to Antonio Smith as
Treat
one
him
of the.
with some respect.
He had I mean his sack celebration was certainly pretty good. Cam, any that you wanted to bring up?
No, we've hit a bunch.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's any that we've really missed here, but I can't think. Johnny, no, I don't want to put Johnny on the spot.
Yeah, you can. Well, the one that I was thinking of, I was looking back, and only played for Houston for a couple years, so you can call it two. Was Miguel Tejada, maybe? Had a couple, like a brief,
He was
like
washed
pop,
immediately
though.
after.
Yeah.
He's someone that comes up, I think, more on the
Age
bad
thing?
acquisitions because he aged 2 years when you
Yeah.
like what you get him, and a day later he's 2 years older.
He aged 4 years on a 2-year deal. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
like, he more often comes up with like the bad free agents or bad trade. Well, I don't know if he was a free agent.
he
or trade,
was solid. Was he? He wasn't an all-star the first.
I don't
Do you
think
have his
so.
stats up? Oh, okay. Yeah, he was. He had one good year though.
One I had that I just remembered, and this was more of a I don't even know if it's the full year. It was more like a half of a season. But one of his big games, we had like 150 yards, was in an effort, I believe, on Christmas Day or Christmas Day weekend, in an effort to beat the Colts for the very first time. Ron Dane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ron Dane. Like pull up his stats, Cam. But work out the make sure to crack the
Wisconsin
knuckles.
Badger.
Yeah, Wisconsin
Yeah,
Badger won the Heisman.
Yeah.
Wrongly took Ricky off the
that's what he
record
looks
books
like
1
now?
year after Ricky set the all-time record.
I just heard him mutter, "Oh, that's what he looks like now."
But he had a year with the Texans. I don't think he topped 1,000 because, like I said, it was like a half a season. But if you could pull up his game log that year, there was a game against the Colts where he went like 150 yards, and the Texans beat the Colts for the very first time. So that was more of that was a shorter than a 1 year. But that's one that always stood out. Did you find the game log there, Cam? Still,
Well, he played 2 years with Houston.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what year. It's all right. We don't have to find it, but I know for sure he had like a 100+ game against the Colts in their first win against them.
If you add up the 4 years that Will Fuller was on the Texans and then just
Ooh.
made that 1 year,
Yeah.
that'd be a great year.
Yeah, he had like
just if you just took like a 16-game snapshot of what he did,
like his best moment. You best
pretended
pretended
that was all happened in one season, you'd
Yeah,
be like,
Will
this guy's
Fuller-
Josh Gordon.
Lamar Miller.
Huh?
Lamar Miller.
Lamar Miller.
I mean, I
yeah.
know he played like 3 years with us, but he did have 1,000-yard
Yeah.
season with us.
Okay.
And then
It's not bad.
And then he was like kind of a meh starter.
It kind of feels. I'm trying to remember who else we said this about, but it kind of felt like a longer stretch of meh more than like a 1 year like takeoff.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hayes.
Huh?
With Chuck Hayes.
Chuck Hayes. That's what. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. If you want to join us, you can call us as well. That phone number, of course, 713-780-3776. Dave has a 1 year wonder for us. What's going on, Dave? What do you got?
Hey, guys. It's probably more than 1 year, maybe a couple. But remember Matt Maloney late in the 90s when the Barkley Rockets? That guy got a lot of run. I mean, Charles got him pumped up pretty good. I think he got a contract that may still be paying him today. But Matt Maloney, you guys don't remember Matt Maloney?
No, I remember him. Yeah, you're right. Like there was a hey, I don't think your joke is too far off, Dave, if they might still be paying him. I remember there was like conversations when Yao was there. I was like, hey, Dave, Matt Maloney's still on the books.
Payroll.
Yeah, but he's still on the payroll. I don't remember exactly how long they were paying him for, but yeah, for the time, like if you look about on any contract now, it's like, oh, they're paying him pennies because contracts have just gone up so much. But at the time, like he got a deal that was ridiculous, and they were paying him that for a long time. But yeah, Matt Maloney's a good submission. Thank you, Dave. And if you have any, you want to add to the list of the biggest one-year wonders in Houston sports history, give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line 713-780-3776. We want to do one quick question, more quick question, or do we want to just jump in? We probably should just jump into Mount
let's
Rushmore.
pocket that time.
Let's pocket that time. All right. The best part of your weekend up next, Mount Rushmore plus one when ESPN Radio turns ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome into the best part of your weekend, Houston. Welcome into Mount Rushmore plus one, the award-winning, groundbreaking segment that has forever changed the sports radio landscape and will get Sean, Cam, myself, and John Belmer into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame in far less than the 27 years it took those bums on the morning show to get there. I'm talking 14 years. I'm gonna plant the flag. Wow. 14 years we're in the Sports Radio Hall of Fame. Please delete the segment if we do not get into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. All right. I mean, main event Mapes is back, so obviously he will main event. Johnny, do you have a list for us? Or
yeah, I got one.
Right, why don't you go ahead and kick us off, sir?
Okay, I can go first. I just seen recently that the LA Dodgers are doing a bobblehead day for Ice Cube. And I thought to myself,
it was a good day.
It was a good day. What the Houston Astros could do here in Houston as far as bobbleheads for Houston area guys. So this is my Mount Rushmore.
That aren't current athletes on the team.
They're not current athletes. Yeah. Most of them, I don't think I have a single athlete besides one, maybe. Kinda. We'll see what B-Mac thinks about it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Oh, it's a wrestler.
You got it.
Okay, say it now. It's Booker T.
You got it. Well, it's maybe. Number 5, I went pretty cookie cutter here. They should do a Paul Wall bobblehead, but it
Yeah.
should be in the candy painted red car.
He's got to have the grill though, right?
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But the way they did Roy Oswald on the
Oh yeah.
tractor, it needs to be in the car here.
Oh, okay. I was
I
thinking
have
like
that bobblehead.
his bobblehead with like a slab behind him.
Oh, that
almost.
either way, it has to have that in it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Number 2, this is where I split between Booker T and Undertaker. One of those two would need probably Booker, but the Undertaker is a Houston guy too.
Undertaker, I'd go
Yeah.
Undertaker. I say that. I think Booker's doing a show right now.
Yeah.
I love Booker T, but
I was also gonna say I feel like Undertaker, no offense, Book, like makes for
Yeah.
a better bobblehead.
yeah, the outfit.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The eyes roll back. Yeah, I think it's
He
Undertaker.
could be like
no disrespect, Booker T.
mid on his back and then popping up.
Yes.
Like that would be.
Oh,
the
if the
pose.
bobble action was him rising.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my god.
That's what I'm.
Please, Astros, make this. I will buy all of them. Anyway,
That one got BMAC going.
yes, I'm fired up.
Yesterday was June 27th. If you're a Houston native, you know that's a big day
Screw.
around here. Yeah, DJ Screw bobblehead at Minute Maid
Sure.
Park would be crazy.
I
The
mean, they
purple.
always do like a special merch.
Mhm.
Yeah, they got
roll
some
out for.
chopped and screwed merch out right
They
now.
do.
I think.
I have
Yeah,
a chopped and screw tattoo.
There we go.
there
Is
you
there a
go.
place
There's-
you can show us?
Yeah. It's a screw tape with a screw.
Okay, yeah, I see it. Not
Yeah.
bad, not bad.
That's cool. Okay,
should
and
get
then
Cam
number
Smith
4,
bobblehead.
she's in town right now. I don't know if you've heard,
Beyonce.
but Beyonce concert, yeah, because I mean she's just Beyonce. So
Yeah, I
it's
think she should for being the only representative of Houston, I'll say, to have stepped up in last Christmas's Netflix broadcast against the Ravens. The only person with, I would say, connections to Houston, whether on the Texans or just simply from Houston and at that game,
Yes.
she had by far the best
Beyonce was
performance.
amazing that night.
No
And
one
so-
else
and
was.
so were the Ravens.
She might have been the only person not affiliated with the Baltimore Ravens
Oh.
that had a good day that
What
day.
a dreadful game that was.
yeah,
All
that
right.
was bad.
You got one more?
Yes. Number 1, Meg the Stallion, but the head
course.
doesn't bobble, the
The
ass
butt
bobbles.
She,
Yes.
I know that's
she's
right.
got to have.
Such a
You
great
remember what
idea.
she wore when she threw out the first pitch, the white pants?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you
David
guys see her on
Hensley
Love
remembers.
Island?
No, she's on Love Island.
Yeah,
No, I didn't know that.
I
she
didn't
was
know
on
that
one
either, yeah.
episode. It was hard not to watch.
Oh my god, man! Cam is not leaving much to the imagination here.
Neither was she.
She
No!
looked. Hey,
Hey, all right.
she looked good.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, yeah, I think the players were distracted when she's throwing out the first pitch. All right, Cam, what is your Mount Rushmore +1, sir?
Mine is I went a simple route. Best sandwiches.
Okay,
I've been on a
all
little
right.
bit of a sandwich
Sandwich kick.
So
Okay.
I did my 5 favorite sandwiches in no particular order. Philly cheesesteak
Ooh, okay,
That's a great one.
okay,
That's a
okay.
great
Hold
one.
on.
sandwich,
Yeah, are you like a cheese whiz guy or like a provolone, like real cheese?
provolone,
Okay,
Monterey.
my
I don't
bad.
like I don't
All right,
like
I hate
cheese
the cheese
whiz.
whiz,
I don't.
yeah.
I can't
Ugh.
do it. I had one in
Yeah.
Philly and it does not. I couldn't get down.
I think
with
it's
it.
just because we're not like,
Philly
or
guys.
I was gonna say cheese whiz people. Like, there's no
Sure.
other context in my life that I've had
Yes.
cheese whiz,
Oh,
No.
gross.
and so yeah, it's a weird. It feels weird to eat it.
yeah, I don't know why. I don't get it. Anyway,
It comes out of a can.
yeah,
it's like
odd.
like it's whipped
comes
cream.
out of
Yeah.
Don't go in this, man.
What?
I know.
Turkey melt.
Okay.
I love a good turkey melt.
All right. I mean, it's turkey. Like,
I love turkey.
It depends on
some turkey can be good, but
yeah.
it's just it takes the right person making it.
Not a cold
It's
turkey
not
melt.
it can't be the star, and that
Yes,
goes into like the
yes,
Thanksgiving
yes.
thing. It's
Yeah.
like it can't be the star, but it's a good role.
It can add substance. It just can't be the
the
star.
Dylan
yeah.
Brooks.
I mean, if it
Yeah,
has like bacon and cheese on it, I'm gonna
Exactly.
smash
Yeah,
that.
yeah, of
elevates
course.
it.
Like
That
yeah,
elevates
club
it.
sandwich.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Next one, classic fried chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh, obviously.
I mean,
yeah.
I will. I'm
Oh,
actually.
yeah.
I might eat one today.
There's
to be honest.
one.
So
The
am
fried,
I.
I'm a little
I might
hungry.
smash
the fried chicken
Chick-fil-A.
downstairs at I think it's called. Is it Chicken
Birdhouse.
Birdhouse. Pretty good. Pretty
I
good
think
chicken
it's-
sandwich.
Is it Bird Haas?
Yeah, Haus. I think you're right.
Haas.
It's-
Yeah.
Well, because I don't want
German?
people to Google Birdhouse and then like
Yeah.
a bunch of Tony Hawk gear pops up.
Yeah, I think it would. I
That,
think
that
you're
was
right.
the name of one of his clothing.
That's exactly right.
Cuban
Okay.
sandwich.
I don't think I've ever had a Cuban. What's on it?
It's usually like ham, pickles, like some mustard. I mean, you can get like varieties. The best one I ever had was when I was coming back from Tulum, and I was actually pissed because I only ate half of
Where's
it.
Tulum?
Mexico.
Oh, okay.
And
So that was a brag. Okay.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna save the other half for when I get back to America. And they
You
wouldn't.
tried to smuggle a sandwich?
I didn't try to smuggle. Well, yes, I did.
Yeah, that's literally, and they told you can't bring.
No, but the worst part was it was because there was a little sliver of tomato on there. But the thing that pissed me off the most was the lady that took it from me. She didn't throw it away.
She ate it?
Her bitch ass put it on her desk.
You can't smell it.
Oh, well. So yes, she took my sandwich, and I know she ate it later. That is what infuriated me
That's
the
the
most.
perks of the job.
No, it's
If
not.
some dude tries to smuggle a
it's
sandwich
not.
and you eat it.
No,
That's
because
what you do.
if he brought something in
For
dangerous,
America.
if he would have brought in cocaine, like she would have.
She would get to snort it. That's the rules. That's the way the system works.
Well, maybe
pay
I
you
should work
nothing.
at the airport then.
Yeah, get the job.
Bunch of free sandwiches, apparently.
That and the movie Carry On made it seem so fun.
Yeah, I mean, Jace Bateman made that seem like a thrill ride.
And this is my favorite torta.
Torta,
That's
yeah.
my favorite sandwich.
Yeah, is there a
Yeah.
favorite
Torta
type of
chaser?
torta you have?
I mean, it kind of blends in with the Cuban, but like there's a taco truck by my apartment that has like a Cuban torta, and it's
Pretty good.
Oh yeah,
Pretty good.
it's
Pretty good.
It's top notch.
All right, my Mount Rushmore +1 this week. I hope I don't cause any problems here, but I think I think this is all within FCC guidelines. But my Mount Rushmore +1 this week is the most satisfying,
God.
the most satisfying times I have to relieve myself. Not going number one.
Okay.
The most
I'm so glad we clarified that. Did not know where that was gonna
I'm
go.
also glad that made a turn for the bathroom and not the bedroom.
Yeah.
The most satisfying going number one moments.
I am all in on this list. Let's hear it.
Number one, backyard. The freedom,
Whoa.
the freedom of being able to just go number one in the backyard if you, as long as you're not in the sight of neighbors. And I'm not trying to.
As long as you have a fence.
A
I have
wooden
a fence. I
Yeah,
have
a
a
wooden-
fence. Yes, I have a
wooden
fence. I have a
Good
fence.
note.
I can't say that I haven't done it
I have
when
a
there's
fence
not a
that's
fence.
taller than
so-
I am. I'll say that. So yeah, but go in the backyard. It's just freeing. I have at night gone off the balcony,
Whoa.
but no one's out. It's night. I don't think I'm putting on a show for
I
anyone.
think you're just spreading it so much more. It's just
He's like, the bathroom's there. Let me just go on the balcony though.
No. Well, see,
yeah,
it's,
that too. It's also a choice. Like backyard, it's possible that you're just in the backyard and you're like, let me just take a leak.
well, sometimes you don't want to. Like if I'm mowing the lawn, maybe I don't want to go back in.
Yeah.
Or late night if it's off the
That's
balcony, like I
acceptable.
don't want to like go in and like have to flush and maybe wake up the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For
So you're
sure.
such a great father
Yeah.
and husband.
Father of
That's
the
why
year.
you peed
That's
off the
why I
balcony.
peed off the
Yeah.
balcony.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So I got 4 more of these. Get ready. Buckle up. All right. Next one on my most satisfying going number one, morning. The morning number one is great.
yeah.
You wake up, you roll out of bed. It's usually, it's a long one. It takes a while. You get to do that. You get to do that whole thing,
Maybe
it's
there's
very
a lean. You're a lean over.
Yeah,
involved.
exactly. You know what I'm talking
I
about.
can't imagine how you feel when you go morning pee in the backyard then.
I haven't done that actually.
Oh, you should try it.
First pee of the day, I've never done that.
Oh.
Never done that. After a movie,
course.
like it's a 2.5 hour
Yeah,
movie.
'cause
You're trying to get
you're
through. You gotta go.
Yeah, you're over capacity at that
Yes,
point
yes.
normally.
Yeah, and
so-
it's like, oh man, I finally got to go. That's very satisfying. And along
and
the
it's
same
10
lines,
in the morning. Yeah.
along the
Yeah.
same,
It's 10 in the morning
that
and you just
coffee.
got out of a bath.
hopefully,
It's the second pee of the day.
hopefully, along the same lines, road trip.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you get to the Buc-ee's, you finally get to go. I think that's a very satisfying pee.
Oh,
Agree.
not in the car in a can.
No, I've never done that.
Oh,
I've never done that.
I have.
In a can? Wait,
Yeah.
not like a empty Pepsi bottle or something.
Gatorade
like,
bottles. The one to
Gatorade.
do.
It was
Gatorade
That's
bottle.
the one.
That's the
Can sounds
This side
dangerous.
of the table can attest to having
Yeah.
to pee in a bottle.
Okay.
Gatorade is so
Gatorade.
much. It's the S tier by itself.
Remind me
of-
if I ever sit in your Jeep to never pick up the Gatorade bottle.
multiple road trips to Colorado require an empty Gatorade. bottle.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Ain't nobody got time to stop.
Yeah.
So okay, what's the move when you finally get to where you're going? Do you dump it out,
Toss
or
it.
do you just
No,
go
just-
straight to the garbage
yeah,
can?
throw it in the
Oh, yeah.
trash.
Throw it in the trash.
Completely full.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming and collecting. They don't know they're collecting a.
Well,
urine
normally it's like you try to do it in like you try to do it in like a public trash can, like one that you won't have to, like you don't go into your house and then
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah, so it's
but
like,
I know if you're like walking into the convenience store, hey, and I just drop
yes,
it into the trash
that's
can.
exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Some poor convenience store workers have to throw that
There's
trash
so
away.
much nasty
It
stuff.
could leak.
What's the difference?
Oh my god, that's gross. All right, I'm going to speed through this last one
He
quickly.
also has to clean the bathroom floor.
Last one, most satisfying number ones. No explanation after finishing.
Oh my god.
Sean, main event this bad boy. What is your Mount Rushmore plus one this week?
I didn't think you were gonna go there. I honestly thought you were.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you mean.
I mean, it deserves to be on the list. without a doubt. This is a family radio station.
Is it?
Jesus.
Hey, we have John and Lance.
I mean, honestly,
All these kids are going to be there one day.
All right. It's been a while since I've done this. So I wanted to go back to a classic. I think this may be the first time I've part two'd something.
Oh.
Mount Rushmore plus one.
Muppets?
Of things I can't explain why, but they are perfectly named.
Oh, gosh. Yes. Yes.
The
Okay,
world
good.
famous one after coming straight from a vacation to this.
That's true.
To this room.
That's
and
true.
I just wrote down words that I thought, hey, you know what?
They just sound right.
It sounds like I can't explain why. That's a key part, but they're just named perfectly. Because some things are named perfectly because it's like, yeah, what else would you name it?
Try to remember what's on that list. I remember one thing that was on that list. Cancer.
Oh God.
Perfect name.
I think Wi-Fi was on that list, wasn't it?
Bluetooth.
Bluetooth. That's right. Anyway.
Okay. First one, Pitt. First, I mean,
whoever fall into?
Yes, like a pit. Like I just fell into the pit.
Not an armpit or a barbecue.
Okay, so you're Andy Dwyer and you fell into the
like
pit.
what else would you name? Like, yeah, a pit. Like
it's a pit.
I feel like if you don't know English and someone said like, don't go into that pit.
I fell into the pit. Yeah.
Someone said don't go into the pit. You would know what they're saying. Like even if you don't know the language. All right. Number 2, chimney. What else would you name it? It's a chimney.
Smoke hole.
Smoke hole.
What? Smoke hole.
Smoke hole.
Called the mouth of a smoker, I guess. I don't know.
It's not a hole though. It's a structure.
It's got a hole at the top.
It has a hole at the top.
It's
but
open-ended.
It's not just a hole.
Yeah, it's true. It's not just a hole.
It's like a brick
tube.
straw.
It's like a
Very
smoke
true.
It's the
tube.
entire thing. Next one, nugget.
Yeah, nugget. Yeah, I'm
That's
with you
a
on
good
that
Like
one.
a chicken
Nugget
nugget.
sounds right.
It's just like, what else would this
Yeah, it's
possibly
perfect.
Or
be?
a Denver nugget.
I think there's some better names out there for Denver
Yeah.
for a Denver basketball team. Next one, charge. Like not a charger, but just the act of charging.
Yeah, like yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
like it.
that's like what that is charging.
Yeah.
So not charging your phone, but like the
Charge.
the act
Yeah.
of going
Yeah,
forward
like
with
in
with
war,
bits
in a
yeah.
war scenario.
It's definitely more intimidating to yell
Like,
out
while-
charge instead
while
of
holding-
or
forward.
run, because
Yeah.
run might be the other way.
While
Onward.
holding, preferably while holding a bayonet in front of you.
Bayonet,
Yeah.
lance also works.
Yeah.
And then last one, pulp. Pulp,
Oh.
like an orange juice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like pulp.
A few texts before we get to the break. 2568. This is going back to
Lemonade
Johnny's,
has pulp.
Ugh.
Johnny's Mount Rushmore plus one. Booker T bobblehead doing the spinneroonie. I don't know how you pull it off, but if you can make the bobblehead
We're
do the
asking a lot
spinneroonie.
out of bobblehead technology.
From 2568, this Brian misspelled. Have an old man bladder. Can't wait to go when he's mowing the yard. That's a fair criticism. But hey, Vindication 7926. Yes, stepping outside onto the patio. He's co-signing the patio.
I was gonna ask, do you like pick a spot in the backyard that you pee like a dog?
I do have a specific spot. Yeah,
There's like an area of the grass. It's just like
It's
dead.
like between your house and the fence.
So
like
when
it's
you
the
first,
most private
when you first
area.
open the gate, it's just the corner to the right.
Okay.
Because it like the people behind me can't see because
Yeah,
it's
it's
too
low
far
vis.
removed. The
Got
people that share that fence can't see it because it's up against the corner. That's fine.
But you're going on the grass, not like on the fence or the.
No, you
house.
have to go on the ground.
Are you drawing something with your pee?
No, I'm
Oh.
not savage.
I do that
He's not-
sometimes.
I was gonna say,
Savage, I'm
that's-
civilized.
He's not 16 years old.
Not spelling out pride was here. WZ.
Although on a snow day,
On a snow day.
you might.
My baby. One last text before we go of a mission for my best places to go most satisfying number ones from 6771. Apparently this list was quite popular. Post flight number one, also way up there.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I haven't flown a whole lot. Only actually 2 round trips in my life, but I imagine that's kind of there with road trip after movies, like you're holding it for a while. Although there is a bathroom on the plane, so
Yeah, but like there's a certain time where if it hits you and then they're like, hey, we're coming in to land, like,
oh, I see.
now
Yeah.
that's like 30 minutes because
right.
you actually have to land the plane and then
wait for it to get off,
to board.
yeah.
And so that can be a longer process.
Breaking the seal is a nice P too.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's
breaking this.
Like when you've
Like
been
when you
you've
go
been
out-
drinking and then you finally have to
and that first one.
Okay.
That first
I
one.
see.
Because
All
normally
right.
you're trying to hold.
Yes.
Trying to hold it for sure. All right, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Should we cut that out from the podcast? I don't know. I don't know.
There's another one.
Oh, off the air. When we get back, our worst people in sports this week and what we learned from sports this week. Going out with a bang. We're off next week. Maybe because we're fired. Who knows? ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back in. Final segment of the show today. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, Sean Mapes, and John Belmer with you here for one more segment, and then we'll be off next week for the July 4th weekend, and then back the week after that. So, time for the worst people in sports, and then after that, what we love from sports this week. I'll go ahead and lead us off for our worst people. My worst person in sports this week was whoever thought up the idea of this NHL Draft House thing. So the NHL Draft was last night, and they decided, honestly, this feature sounds cool as an idea, but the execution was abysmal. The idea was these guys get drafted, they come up on the stage, they shake Gary Bettman's hand, and then they go over to like a side stage, like kind of almost like a sound booth with this video screen where they could see the GM and like they could see the war room and the GM and the owner that just drafted them.
Yeah, like,
and then talk to them.
Like Skyping in.
Yeah, Skyping in. Hey, thanks for drafting me. Can't wait to get you here, whatever. But the NHL, maybe it's because it's the fourth biggest sport and not the first, couldn't figure it out. And so the technical aspects of this and the delays and the dropouts of no audio and freezing just made it an absolute train wreck. Take a listen.
Go ahead, Bucci. Sorry.
Draft house time.
And the newest member of the organization. Maybe having a little technical difficulties over there in Ottawa.
NHL Draft House as the Bruins get their guy at 7, Cam Neely and Don Sweeney.
To follow when Happy Gilmore welcomes your player to the organization, but why don't you guys say hello to James Higgins?
Thank you for taking me.
I think we might have some technical difficulties, but
Back to the NHL Draft House.
How you doing, guys?
Oh, yeah. Great. Yeah, we're awesome. Hey, so happy to get you. It's unbelievable.
Sorry, didn't hear.
said it's unbelievable.
Let's go to the Draft House.
Say sharp.
Mace, what's up?
How's it going, Mike?
Good. Well, congrats, man.
Thank you very much.
Super happy to have you. Welcome.
So that last one where they're talking over each other was as good as it got.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like an acceptable.
That was
level
an acceptable level. The rest of it was either the video screen freezing or the player not hearing, as you heard. I think in the third clip, the player that talked to him, and then the player couldn't hear him, or the team didn't hear him because their feed dropped out. It was just it was a nightmare all night. The draft actually had some good moments. They had Charles Barkley announced a pick. Happy Gilmore announced a pick. The comedian Nikki Glazer announced the pick.
She's
When
funny.
you say Happy Gilmore, you mean Adam Sandler, right?
Yeah, but he was he was wearing
okay.
the jersey. It was Happy Gilmore introducing the Bruins pick because
But
that's the jersey.
That he
But the
was
actual
wearing.
human being was.
Yes,
And-
thank you. Kayfabe. Hey, sports entertainment show.
I didn't know if it's like, hey, when like Cinderella's at Disney World, and it's like, well, it's not actually Cinderella. It's just.
What do you mean?
It's a 24-year-old.
All right, Cam, who's your worst person?
My worst person is the fan that heckled Cattell Marte and brought up his mother passing away.
Absolutely.
What a piece of basura.
Sean.
Yeah, that Brett Yormark and the Big 12 for doing away with the preseason media poll because last year Arizona State, thank you, was ranked last and ended up winning the conference.
Yeah.
And so they didn't want to do the poll because it's inaccurate. And I tell you, Big 12, that's the point, is because it's inaccurate. It gives so much, hey, they picked us last. Let's go prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Jeremy Branham, why is your conference soft?
Yeah.
What's up, Big 12?
I think this was Branham's idea.
I think it probably
And he
was
ran
Branham's
up the
idea.
flagpole.
Soft boy. This needs to end up on Wednesday.
I'll see what I can
Yeah,
do.
see what you can do. You might know a guy. All right. Done swimming with the Angler Sharks. Go ahead to doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility and talk about what we love from sports this week. What I love from sports this week was Jake Paul getting mocked in this interview you were about to hear, trying to promote tonight's fight against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
I'm a killer. I get in the ring with the best people. And you get in the ring with a guy who's 50, he's literally nearly as old as me. The only proper boxer you fought was Tommy Fury, and he beat you.
Fought multiple boxers with professional records, including Mike Tyson himself.
Peak Tyson, you wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds.
And you versus going to the gym, you're still a fat ass. We can make up hypotheticals. You should go to the gym. If you went to the gym,
I've been twice this week.
You don't think I can be Mike Tyson? I don't think you go to the gym.
I think you're a great YouTuber.
You think that your opinion matters.
Well, why are you doing my show if it doesn't?
Oh, I'm just taking your audience to sell pay-per-views. I don't give a about your show. You dumbass. This is a business enterprise.
Did he hang
Cheers,
up?
Jake.
Oh,
Really enjoyed that.
Disconnect.
All right, yeah. So yeah, he couldn't. I mean, Piers Morgan, like if he can get to you, like you're kind of thin skinned.
Yeah.
I love that Jake Paul's comeback to you've only fought one, and I use legitimate very, very loosely here with Tyson Fury's younger brother. Like Tyson Fury's younger brother is barely a legit boxer, but he's at least somebody that's a professional boxer, and you beat him. Or, sorry, you lost to him, and then everyone else you fought has been like other YouTubers and 60-something-year-old Mike Tyson. Yeah, it's just Jake Paul's the worst. I love the comeback there from Piers Morgan. Like, if my opinion's worthless, then why are you doing my show?
That was a good one.
I will say it does kind of prove Piers Morgan right. The fact that there is a Jake Paul fight tonight, and
Yeah.
this is the first that any of us are hearing about it.
Sure.
Is him getting in a fight with Piers Morgan. Like, these have lost their luster.
Yeah, and again, he's fighting this time a legit boxer, but like Mike Tyson, it's a legit boxer from 15 years ago. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. All right, quickly, what'd you guys love from sports this week?
Raphael Stone and pulling that trade.
Okay.
And the thing I loved in sports this week was the Blazers' 16th pick in this year's draft, Yang Han-Sin's 3 interests.
Hi, I'm interested in you as a person. What are some of your interests, and what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't playing basketball?
Sometimes I sleep, all time sleep, and I like play PS5, and I like eat.
3 interests:
Eats,
sleeps, eats, plays PS5.
Yeah, I'd prefer to say Xbox, but I get it.
I would prefer to say play basketball, but
yeah, that's true. That's
at
true.
some point,
Good point.
Well, they asked him what interested him.
Yeah. Shout out to Portland. Hope GameStop is stocked up. All right, that'll do it for the bullpen. We got to get out quickly. Thanks for joining us here today. Be back in 2 weeks. Not on next week during the July 4th holiday. Back a week after that. Have a great weekend, Houston.
I want one big stick.
What was that?